Hey everyone, welcome back to GhostFrame. Episode 5 gave us another blood-written warning. Criston Cole continued to fall apart. Rhaenyra questioned almost every move she could make. And by the end of the episode, most people were already asking the same question. Who's going to win this war? But I don't think that's the question episode 5 wanted us to ask. Because beneath every conversation, every decision, and every quiet moment, the episode keeps pointing us towards something much bigger. Not the next battle. Not the dragons. But the slow collapse of trust. Think about what we actually see. A threatening message isn't delivered in secret. It's written where everyone can see it. Criston Cole no longer speaks with the confidence that once defined him. Rhaenyra spends more time questioning than commanding. These aren't random character moments. They're all pieces of the same story. A story where fear is becoming more powerful than swords. And where doubt is spreading faster than any army ever could. That's what makes episode 5 so fascinating. On the surface, it looks like another chapter in the Dance of the Dragons. But underneath, it's showing us how kingdoms truly begin to fall. Not when castles burn. Not when dragons fight. But when people stop trusting each other. And once you start looking at the episode through that lens, the blood-written message, Criston's behavior, Rhaenyra's hesitation, even some of the visual details hidden in plain sight, all begin pointing toward the exact same conclusion. So instead of simply breaking down what happened, we're going to uncover what episode 5 was really trying to tell us. So, let's look beyond the frame. Let's start with the moment everyone remembers. The blood-written message. A feast for traitors. At first, it seems like nothing more than a threat. Another warning in a kingdom that's already drowning in violence. But if intimidation was the only goal, why leave the message where everyone could see it? Why not deliver it in secret to the people it was meant for? Because this wasn't designed to frighten a single person. It was designed to infect an entire city with fear. And that's an important difference. Fear spreads much faster than violence ever can. Once people believe that traitors are being hunted, they begin asking dangerous questions. Who can I trust? Who's already betrayed us? Could I be next? That's exactly how paranoia begins. Then there's the wording itself. Whoever wrote this message didn't choose the word death. They chose the word feast. In George R.R. Martin's world, feasts often carry an unsettling irony. They're supposed to represent unity. Yet time and time again, they're remembered for betrayal, political games, or bloodshed. Whether intentional or not. That single word immediately gives the message a deeper meaning. This isn't simply about killing traitors. It's about turning betrayal into a public spectacle. And once betrayal becomes public, trust doesn't just weaken. It collapses. That's why I don't think this message is just introducing a mystery. I think it's introducing the central theme of episode 5. Not who has the stronger army. Not who has the bigger dragon. But what happens when fear becomes more powerful than loyalty? If episode 5 has a human face, it's Criston Cole. Not because he delivers the biggest speech. Not because he wins a great battle. But because no other character reflects the episode's central theme more clearly than he does. Think back to who Criston Cole used to be. In Season 1, he rarely questioned himself. He spoke with certainty. He acted with conviction. Whether you agreed with him or not. He always believed he was fighting for the right cause. Now compare that man to the one we see in episode 5. The confidence is fading. The certainty is gone. Instead of looking like a commander leading a war, he looks like someone struggling to keep control of it. And the show never needs to tell us that directly. It shows us through the way he carries himself. The weight in his conversations. and the growing exhaustion behind every decision he makes. That's what makes his character so interesting here. Criston isn't simply afraid of losing. He's beginning to understand that this war no longer follows the rules he once believed in. Honor no longer guarantees loyalty. Duty no longer guarantees order. And victory no longer feels certain. That's exactly what fear does. It doesn't just make people panic. It slowly destroys their confidence. Until every decision becomes harder than the last. And Criston isn't the only one experiencing that. He's simply the clearest example. Because episode 5 isn't showing us the first military collapse of the Dance of the Dragons. It's showing us something far more dangerous. The collapse of certainty. And once the people leading a war stop believing they can control it, the war begins to control them. Criston Cole isn't the only one changing. Episode 5 quietly shows us that every leader is responding to uncertainty in a different way. Take Rhaenyra. Throughout the episode, she's constantly searching for answers. Listening. Questioning. Reconsidering. On the surface, those don't seem like weaknesses. In fact, a careful ruler should question difficult decisions. But during a civil war, time becomes one of the most valuable weapons either side possesses. Every moment spent searching for certainty creates an opportunity for someone else to act. And that's where Ormond Hightower becomes so interesting. He doesn't dominate the episode. He doesn't need long speeches. His role is much quieter than that. While other characters are trying to understand the chaos around them, Ormond simply keeps moving forward. And sometimes, that's all power really is. Not having every answer, but continuing to make decisions while everyone else is still searching for one. What's fascinating is that the episode doesn't present either approach as completely right or completely wrong. Rhaenyra's caution is understandable. Ormond's decisiveness is effective. But by placing these two leadership styles side by side, Episode 5 asks an uncomfortable question. What happens when leaders can no longer tell the difference between caution and hesitation? That question extends beyond dialogue. Even the way many scenes are framed reinforces the same feeling. Characters are often separated by doorways, windows, or empty spaces. Whether that symbolism is intentional or simply the result of visual storytelling, it leaves us with the impression that everyone is becoming increasingly isolated. Not just from their enemies, but from the people standing beside them. And once isolation replaces trust, every decision becomes heavier. Every alliance becomes fragile. And every leader begins fighting two wars at once. One against their enemies, and another against their own doubts. When you step back and look at everything we've talked about, the blood-written message, Criston Cole's quiet transformation, Rhaenyra's growing uncertainty, even the way the episode visually separates its characters, a pattern begins to emerge. Episode 5 isn't simply building toward the next battle. It's showing us what happens before battles are ever fought. The moment when fear replaces confidence, when doubt replaces certainty, and when trust quietly begins to disappear. That's why this episode feels so different. The biggest changes aren't happening on the battlefield. They're happening inside the people leading it. Because history rarely changes in a single dramatic moment. It changes one decision at a time. One hesitation. One betrayal. One broken alliance. And by the time the dragons finally take flight again, the outcome may already have been decided by choices that happened long before the first flame was ever unleashed. Maybe that's what Episode 5 was really trying to tell us. That kingdoms don't fall the moment their walls collapse. They begin to fall the moment the people inside them stop believing in one another. And if that's true, then the most dangerous weapon in the Dance of the Dragons was never fire. It was fear. If you enjoyed this analysis, Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to GhostFrame for more deep dives into House of the Dragon. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. What detail do you think most people completely missed in episode 5? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, stay curious. And remember, sometimes the biggest secrets are hiding in plain sight. So, let's look beyond the frame.